So clearly, it can be an issue. So I mean, I love watching Sazabi, but it's also going to be really fun to watch some death balls with melee.
Yeah, I mean, we saw there was a huge focus put on kind of nerfing that death ball composition for the next patch for season 2. All three, I guess, heavy hitters in that roster, the Exia, the Barbados, along with the Zaku 2 melee, have been nerfed in some regards. Massively alone, I would say, just for Barbados. The sword actually getting a massive nerf. It can't one-shot the squishier targets anymore. You need to follow it up with some additional damage. And so the death ball might not be as potent, but I don't know, like, if that's going to do enough. I feel like just a well-coordinated team can still make that composition work. Right now, we are in the picks and bans, and it looks like our first 2 bans are coming in, and it is kind of ringing similar to what we had during Halloween Havoc. Ministry of Defense and Harbor City both banned.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough that we did get a chance to see actually every single map in the map pool on broadcast last time, which is, saying a lot. That's a really cool thing to see. But these 2 maps at the end here, they're kind of at the end over there on the right side for a reason. They were by far the least seen maps of the entire broadcast, and we see them quite often, or not often. But Mountain R&D Lab is going to be our first pick. Sorry, I was a little surprised by that. And I'm very happy about that. We literally were just talking about that. We saw Flak Fort, I want to say, 90%, maybe 80% of the time as the first pick last time around. But this time around, with the meta change, I think there's a good chance that we're actually going to see a lot more of those Mountain R&D maps or first picks on broadcast rather than just off stream.
Yeah, I mean, Mountain R&D is going to be a completely different game when you do have Barbados, Exia, and Zaku 2 melee, that death ball, especially on this map. So many tight corners to play around, so many tight quarters as well. We did get to see that during Halloween Havoc, when it came to the Pale Rider meta, having that dominance over the high ground is super important. Well, all 3 of those units are so good at disrupting it. We got to see even Ashmar's coming in play. Even in our highlight reel there, the Ashmar punch, just to displace people off that high ground and then go for the engage. It's going to be an amazing tool. But again, we don't know exactly where this meta is going to settle before we go into season 2.
Yeah, well, right now, I think we know where this match is going to settle, because the second map picked is going to be Thermal Plant. So we've got 2 tight domination maps here where we're just going to have a lot of chaos. We're going to have a lot of, quick little battles. This should be a pretty fun first set for sure. But this is the only time, just looking back to last event, we didn't see, I don't think, a single match, as far as I can remember, that actually went to 2 domination maps. Every single one was like domination, destruction, domination, point capture. But this is going to be a first, and this is a heck of a way to start it off. So I do expect that we are going to see some more chaotic teams, some different team comps. And I did like that we kind of settled down on like a little bit of a meta, some core units last time. I think we're going to see a lot of the same, but I do hope that we get to see some different things. Obviously we will, with some Zaku 2 melee. And if anybody's not familiar with Zaku 2 melee, I'm sure you're going to be very familiar with it by the end of today.
Yeah. And right now, so we don't do the next ban phase until we actually finish off these maps. And the thing about basically what's been going on so far in Halloween Havoc, I don't believe we went to a map 3 until we got to the lower bracket finals and our grand finals. And so we might just be able to run through, get 2-0s all the way, but we'll see. I mean, this is going to be interesting again. There's no way to tie on these maps, so there is a huge possibility that we do end up going to a third map for this one, but I'm really surprised that, yeah, we are starting off on double domination. I don't think we had any of our series start off on double domination. So both teams are feeling kind of risky, and they want to just go for these team fights. And I think with the activation of Zaku 2 melee, you might as well go for it at this point.
Yeah. I have seen so many times the stronger teams, or even honestly not stronger teams, just even like platinum level players on ranked, that just go for the full death balls on a lot of these maps. On Mountain R&D, the range is just so good for Zaku 2 melee. It just pops off so well on that map in particular. Like almost every single zone you can enter in some sort of angle that it just allows you to just perfectly like hit your shots while not exposing yourself to too many like far range gunfire like angles. We did see a lot of people, especially, we are going to first be going, of course, into this Mountain R&D lab map. So we can talk about it. A lot of the games were really decided on who took that high ground first on either A or C, and who could kind of stand up on that hill, because you can jump from that hill to B to the other side of the map, to either opposite A or C just immediately. It literally takes you like 3 seconds to get from one side to the other. So we did see that a lot with that previous meta where we had a lot of tanks, where if you took that high ground, it wasn't as easy to push it. But with potentially a more melee meta, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot more play inside, for example, like the angles like below, where there's that like big health pack and you can kind of pop up and like sneak up onto the point and get some hits off and then come back down and heal and not expose yourself to the like longer ranges. But we might, I don't know. I actually have no idea if we're going to see that, if we're going to see people still stay on the high ground or what, because we saw some really strong players play on that map, but totally different meta.
Yeah, again, I don't know if it's going to be completely Pale Rider that comes in as our standard DPS for this one. I know Exia was also basically 100% pick rate last time around, but Pale Rider, I don't know if he currently has the DPS to try and deal with the death ball. It becomes so incredibly difficult that you might not want to run it at all. We'll see if that happens. One of the strongest points that we saw when it came to Mountain R&D as well was the Ashmar pick. Not just for the punch and trying to displace people off the high ground, but that initial fight there you were talking about, that if this starts off on A or C points, that Ashmar, along with that initial napalm, could do wonders to just push the team back enough for you to have that presence to go ahead and push up with the Sazabi. Again, we don't even know if there's going to be Sazabis in this set.
I know. I'm really excited to see today. It's such a big change just overall. We learned so much just about how a lot of these top teams are going to be playing last time. And this time we're going to see so many different things. But I do think we're almost for sure. There's a few things we're going to see, right? I think Exia is probably going to be an auto lock no matter what. That is still considered, potentially the strongest suit just in most maps. It can do everything from so many different ranges. And actually, we're going to get a chance, I think, to see very soon what these teams are picking. The other one I was going to say is Ashmar. Ashmar is just so good on this map. And already we are going to see actually a very similar comp to what we saw last time from TEKKA. We're not going to see the Zakutu melee, at least so far. Of course, it can still change for about 9 more seconds, but it's not looking like it, and that's pretty surprising.
And the big question is, are they going to be sticking with, never mind, I believe the Exia swap-off has happened here, and here we go, going in. It's going to be point C, so that high ground fight is going to be super important here. Early Sazabi acts in, but it looks like they were able to just get there first off, the first pick as well, taking out the enemy Ashimar, and now they're fighting after the Sazabi. The tank's dropping down low, but it's a little bit too aggressive, and TEKKA will be able to secure the point first. Once it unlocks, they've got the huge man advantage and that high ground.
Yeah, that's why that high ground is so huge. We saw the Sazabi push forward, and it was just, it couldn't catch every single angle, right? It was just hitting from behind, and you have to make sure that you're standing, for example, in that doorway, like we're seeing the Sazabi do right now. But yeah, that is going to be, again, a similar playstyle, it seems like, to last time. Neither team going for the Zakutu melee, which is very surprising to me. And so we are going to be seeing a lot of fighting for this high ground. However, it does look like this team is going to be fighting for kind of this right side and not quite so much the left side high ground. But it's not really working out for them, as it seems like TEKKA is just going to be holding on very well.
Yeah, and even though they might have the added pressure of the Hyper Hammer, they just haven't been able to utilize it quite yet. They do trade Sazabis for Sazabis, as they find one more, the Gundam going down, unfortunately. But they are onto the point right now. It is getting stalled out, and it looks like we won't get full value off of this, but as point A changes, or as it changes over to point A, we're going to have a little bit more of the same here for the second point.
Yeah, this is going to be probably very similar. As I mentioned before, we often see teams jump all the way to the other side. Now, I did see like C was grabbed very, very quickly just for a quick moment. I'm not sure if that's because TEKKA did rotate all the way over, or if maybe they did lose a team fight. It didn't seem like too many people went down, so I'm going to assume that they had already just rotated over. And yeah, we do see a lot of them kind of already in position. We're seeing some very forward holds here from the Sazabi and from the Dom, and then we've seen everybody else on the high ground, and they are just harassing.
Oh man, you do not want your Dom to go down first here. He pushed out so much damage, as you can see from the TEKKA side now. They're going to go ahead and push them all the way back towards spawn, and they should be able to take the point first. Someone's trying to back cap for now. They will back away. Dom dropped down to 46 HP, but he has that health pack to stay up top. And so it looks like another dominant point here for Team TEKKA, and this will go over to point C once again. So just flip-flopping sides right now. It's been TEKKA that's been dominating basically on these outer points.
Yeah, that 12% is just because they left the point pretty early to kind of get in position, which they maybe could have held a little bit longer, but doesn't really matter. And again, the fight here up on the high ground, we are going to see a pretty decent push this time around. We're seeing the Trans Am activated. It does look like it got at least maybe 1 KO, but maybe not quite enough. We saw the trade with the G maneuver from the Unicorn, so that was going to be at least G maneuver from G maneuver.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the Gundam pick overall, especially when it comes to Sazabi, but having to flex that out for your Exia seems a little bit problematic. But right now, they do have a lot of G maneuvers available to them, but do they really want to commit into this, as point C will unlock in 30 seconds? You can see now the transition coming out. They might actually lose out on 2, and that's a huge pickup for TEKKA Clan.
Yeah, especially just getting rid of at any point in this map, Unicorn is extremely valuable for this kind of death ball-ish style. And here we go. They're just holding this high ground. They're getting so many single picks, and I think that's going to be one of the biggest issues here that Portland Burnsiders needs to work on, is that they are not pushing together as a team and committing. You know, for example, we see the Gundam peeking out, we see the RX-78 peeking out, getting picked off. Now they have to wait for it to respawn, and then everybody moves back, and then everybody gets hit a little bit, and it's like, do you go back and heal? And they're just getting staggered in this way, but we are going to see some damage.
Yeah, but a lot of G maneuvers were used for that Gundam Unicorn along with the Hades here, and you can see that on the other side for TEKKA Clan, accidentally popped one G maneuver for themselves, and I believe it was their Hades, but they'll have a Screaming Nimbus along with the funnel bits coming in for that Sazabi, which is a huge combination. You get the Screaming Nimbus to just displace everyone and give the extra movement speed for your Sazabi to go in with those bits and just basically AFK destroy everyone, or you can just do it dry up here on the high ground, losing out on 1, and now you can see the Sazabi drop down to 10 HP, will fall.
Almost made it to the health pack, not quite. Maybe gonna get the res off. The res did go off. They traded it down for it, I believe. The Dom is gonna get the down there, but oh, the Exia coming in. Wait, what was that? The Exia was just sitting there for a second. I got a little bit scared, but I think they just had to wait a moment for their shots to recharge. And sometimes those combat res are just not gonna pay off. And this is, look at this huge kill streak up above, and this is going to be it as TEKKA takes game number 1. There was that one good push from the Portland Burnsiders. They used a lot of their G maneuvers, which is understandable, but I agree with you. I'm surprised that we're not seeing the Exia, especially on this map.
I mean, yeah, again, the Hyper Hammer along with the pressure that you can apply onto a Sazabi is great, but the problem is they weren't able to get that much value off of it. You saw that Red Protocol maybe went down 3 or 4 times in this entire round. So I want to see possibly if they feel comfortable to go off onto that Exia, because you're just not getting that same value on Gundam. I know that the RX-78-2 is fantastic on this map because its damage drop-off is almost negligible in the ranges that you're fighting here, but you get so much more value off of that Exia, being able to stay mobile, have that flanking route on basically every point here. So maybe we see a swap off from the Portland Burnsiders. Yeah,
I mean, I agree that I think that the RX-78 is like a good pick here in general, but maybe not to give up maybe give up a different suit for it. Maybe don't give up the Exia for it, because that's just an even more valuable suit. And yeah, since there's nobody using Takatsu Melee, again, very surprising to me, it is going to be so much about who wins these tank battles and who can break the other tank faster. And, you know, I mean, Hyper Hammer's good, but Exia can do it so many times in so many different ranges. And here we go, just trying to take this high ground again. TEKKA really understanding how to play this map, and there's going to be a lot of damage already on the board for Portland Burnsiders.
Huge compositional change for the Portland Burnsiders here, and might actually work out. The Mahiru finding 1. That's going to be Red Protocol going down. They'll be able to get the res onto him, but that Gundam Unicorn on the other side ends up taking out Blessed, and so there's a little bit more fight for the Portland Burnsiders here on point A, but it will be TEKKA actually getting it first, backing away, 182 HP. But he will be able to get that health back, get right back into the game, and it looks like that res onto Red Protocol is going to be massive now as they end up cleaning the Portland Burnsiders up.
Yeah, like you mentioned, they've just had such a tough time taking him down. And here we go. It's going to see the Sazabi versus Sazabi fight here, but we do have the Mihiru on the back line. The Mihiru can wreak havoc if it can get into that short little lane, but right now it's trying to fight against everybody in the high ground, and it can miss a lot of grenade shots if you're shooting up there. It can potentially just not do the damage that you want it to do. It is going to have the scan. It is going to know where it needs to shoot. And right here, I think this is the greatest spot that you can be as a Mihiru, but can the team take advantage of the damage?
You can see that they're not really clumping up on the other side for TEKKA Clan. They're doing a great job of maybe keeping 3 up top and then 3 below. Oh, and here's the flank out from the Ashamar Lekrum, picking that one up, taking out the Mahiru. And here's the problem. Mahiru, he got buffed for the next season, and you can see why. That you don't really have the detonation range on his basically primary fires. So teams are struggling with it, along with the points that you mentioned. I mean, out here, when you're not playing down on the low ground and Mahiru has the position to just fire down, you're not getting that same kind of value. For now, it's just going to be all dominance coming out from TEKKA Clan as, again, we have another point C.
Yeah, the high ground is just proving to be exactly what we expected it to be. They are going to be pushing for it. It does look like we have the Mahiru on the other side, the big punch, and that's why Ashamar is so good on this map. That is the perfect angle, the perfect range for the punch, taking out both of the suits, pushing that high ground, and they're just totally taking control of C. It's going to be a 2v3 or even a 2v2, and I expect that we're going to see a little bit more of an aggressive hold as they've been doing, trying to stop them at their base.
And it looks like we're never going to see point B because we're going back to point A for the next one. It's changing in 30 seconds. And this is just so unfortunate because with the Mahiru pick, you would love to be playing and fighting in that B side, especially with the Zaku 2 range. We haven't even talked about that one. Zaku 2 range is in. He's got his Heat Hawk ready, but you can see how spread out the rest of them are. It's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange. Crowd ends up going down here, but we'll see if they can find a little bit more. Excuse me, Crow goes down there, but you can see that the fight and the defense is there. They're going to go ahead and transition. They'll give away a little bit of percentage on point C because they want point A more.
Yeah, that's been a pretty significant thing for them, is that they move really, really quickly over to the other side of the map. They're like, you know what? If you want 5%, take it. I don't care. You're going to have to approach us from a very awkward angle, and it's been working out really, really well for TEKKA Clan, and they are looking really close to closing this out. If they close out here, we are going to have literally never been on B this entire game, this entire map, not just this game, but we're getting close to it here. Yeah, we're going to see at least two suits getting picked off. The Dom's going down. That's going to be huge. Dom can do so much damage on this map where everybody's grouped up. Look at this aggressive push the way back to their spawn. That's a lot of confidence.
And that's why the timing is so important on their transition. They all got set up here as a full 6-man, and then you saw the kind of bleed coming out from the Portland Burnsiders, all coming in one by one and then getting picked off. They do find I believe one knock at the very least. No, never mind. That's going to be one on their side. The Mahiru going down. You can see once again that dominant positioning coming out from TEKKA Clan, and the Trans Am to finish things off. That's going to be a 2-0 for TEKKA Clan here on Mountain R&D.
Very, very strong showing on the first map of the day. And honestly, again, this is, I don't know a whole lot about Team Portland Burnsiders. I did send out, again, a little questionnaire. They haven't had a chance to get back to it, of course. I sent out a little bit late. That's definitely my fault. But we do know that TEKKA for sure has been playing in every single one of these events and been practicing together as a team for quite a while. So we can see a lot of shades of them playing like a lot of the other top teams have been playing on this map, where you take that high ground, you focus on it, you kind of hold them off aggressively a little bit more towards their spawn, you move over to the other spawn very quickly, to the other point very quickly, and you just essentially, repeat until it stops working, which it pretty much never stops working. On the other hand, Portland Burnsiders, they may be a newer team. I'm not 100% sure. I would really love to know. If anybody has information on them, please let me know. So maybe they're going to learn a little bit more from this, because we did see that last month, right? We saw, especially in Mountain R&D, we saw some teams that were playing not exactly this way that we saw TEKKA just play, but they started adapting to that style over the day, because they're like, hold on, this is looking really good. Like, maybe this is how we should play the map. And that's one of the biggest advantages of these tournaments. You don't have to be the best team in the world, but you're going to learn a ton regardless.
Yeah, I mean, teams like Powerpuff Girls, we saw them growing and developing throughout the day. So that's what I love when it comes to these tournaments, is just that it's an opportunity to develop yourself, especially as a player and as a full-on team, but primarily as a player overall, just because, ranked isn't the same kind of experience that you would have when you have all 6 people actually calming and throwing out really good relevant information, instead of just, there's a guy over here, right? I mean, it's completely different settings. So hopefully when we go over to Thermal Plant, they'll have maybe a better grasp of how to try and play this one out. Maybe we will see the Exia, if they have an Exia player coming in for this one, but it was a very dominant showing coming out from TEKKA Clan there, and they were sticking to old true that we saw in terms of composition last week, or last time around for Halloween Havoc, the Sazabi along with the Pale Rider, and basically just building that composition around the Pale Rider and giving him space to be able to be basically what he has been for the last season of Gundam Evolution, which is the highest DPS mobile suit in the game.
Yeah, we are going to be seeing pretty soon, a little bit under a week, we're going to see a little bit of a damage nerf on the suit, but hopefully it'll still stay quite strong. And it has been such a core member of every single one of these teams, especially when you have the ridiculous players like Tizim, for example, just with unbelievably almost looks like it's hacking. That's how good the tracking is. I actually like told him directly. I was like, I thought you were hacking for a second because your tracking is just too good. But we see a lot of shots, missed, showing that it's not. But yeah, that just becomes such a key part, and I think it's going to be a huge, it's a hugely important student on like every map, but especially here, Thermal Plant does have, I would say, some really strong high ground spots that are not as accessible to melee. Like we do see, of course, Exia can basically access anywhere, but I think we're going to see a lot of these like high ground spots, like for example, like the upstairs on B, or being able to kind of sit back a little bit more towards your health pack on C, or just sitting by the door in A, anything really, where I think the Pale Rider range is really, really good for this map. So I expect it to be very important, but I want to know if we're going to see the switches that we saw before. The Mihiru actually has a lot of really good angles on this map. It's hard to hit people that are high ground on B, but I really like Mihiru on this map and for a few situations, and Zaku 2 ranged is maybe my favorite suit, even though we don't see it all that often, so I just want to see it more.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, there is a pretty marked difference, right, between Mountain R&D and Thermal Plant. The fact that Mountain R&D is basically just 2 points, B and A and C. Right, A and C are just completely mirrored. Essentially, they play out exactly the same. But here it is 3 separate points for a domination map, which all play completely differently. I forget if it's C or A. I believe it's C that has the 2 levels that you can play off of as well. They can still cap from below. And Mahiru, like you said, will be fantastic. A lot of choke points for you to completely spam out as well, if you want to stick with that right now. But again, until I see those Rendo grenade buffs coming in, which will be in season 2, I don't know if he's going to be that big of a pick. Again, the cone can be strong for the information. We saw a lot of, actually, a little bit of Mahiru, I believe, during Halloween Havoc. But, right now, he's just not fulfilling exactly what you want, especially in a very brawl-heavy where teams want to just kind of deathball and push onto you, not giving you the time to try and spam them out first. So we'll see. But again, last time around, we saw that basically this map stayed standard in terms of compositions, no real big changes. Maybe we'll see turn A Gundam. I think Zaku 2 melee is fantastic here as well. So many flanking routes. So maybe on this map we see the Zaku 2 melee.
It's possible. I would still be really surprised if we saw Zaku 2 melee here and we didn't see it on Mountain R&D Lab. That would be surprising to me, but it does seem like Portland Burnsiders are willing to mess with their comp. And yeah, I agree. If you're really looking to win at this point in time, maybe hold the Mihiru for next week, and but I just want to see it, right? I love Mihiru. I love Zaku 2 range. So they might try some different things though. Zaku 2 melee, like you said, extremely strong on this map. Pretty much every single point is a really good option for that Zaku 2 melee ult is one of the biggest things here, aside from, of course, having just all those great flank angles and it's pretty hard to take out Zaku 2 melee on this map. There's a lot of corners that you can push around, but we'll see if they do end up changing. I mean, I think TEKKA at this point, they're probably just going to stick with what they had. It makes a lot of sense. They just did so well in that first game. They just kind of like outpositioned, outshot the other team, and they probably just want to keep going with it. But I don't know. I'm still just why? Do you have any idea why we wouldn't see Zaku 2 melee? I do know that some people have said it might be a little bit weaker. We haven't seen it in the tournament since its last nerf, but I still feel like we see it a lot.
Yeah, it's weird because it is still receiving a nerf for season 2, I believe, on its mobility. It's getting nerfed by 4 seconds, I believe. So it's going to be a 4-second longer cooldown on its mobility ability. So maybe players, maybe they're just kind of getting ready for that, or the fact that because we kind of settled on this meta and having the unicorn player, having the Dom player, and having the Exia player, maybe they're just not ready to, they don't have that extra DPS that can just pull out that Zaku 2 melee. There's a lot of possibilities that come out here, but it looks like we are ready for map number 2. It is TEKKA Clan currently leading 1-0, and it's going to be point C unlocking first.
All right, are we ever going to see a point B today? The answer is maybe no. We are going to see, wow, we're going to see Gym Sniper. We're going to see, Exia. I'm sorry, not Exia. We're going to see, oh my gosh, turn A. We're going to see Zaku 2 range. This is the strangest team comp we've ever seen, and I love it.
And there's the first pick going out, and they've already lost out on 2 as the point unlocks in just a few more seconds. But you can see this power of the Zaku 2 range, getting that instant 1-clip onto 1. But this Zabi is not who you want to face off against. He has to use that smoke screen, but he's still getting chased down, and he will get finished off. This Zabi taking him out as they're going to go ahead and push forward. Now TEKKA Clan now with the lead. We see the Ashmar coming back in to try and get them on the rotate out, but it looks like Bless went a little bit too far and got taken out himself. Again, you know that when it comes to these points, you only need one body to try and delay, and you still have the Sazabi playing inside of that choke.
Yeah, especially on this point, you need one body that can be up or down. Oh wow, such a good knowledge right there. Already knew that Zaku 2 range was going to be there. We've seen that so many times so far that when there are these really strong flanking suits, the really coordinated teams are just not letting them run free. But right now, it does look like Portland Burnsiders got a pretty good team fight as that Zaku 2 range was kind of harassing from the back. Doesn't look like the Ashmar had a chance to be there, but they do retake. I would have loved to see what happened right there, but it looks like TEKKA is going to be holding on to this towards the end, and we are going to see a point B.
Yeah, they get a nice stagger on him. Oh, the Ashmar going straight into the back line here as the teams rotate in for point B. Right now, Sazabi taking that high ground. Crow, the first one to go down once again, unfortunately, for Portland Burnsiders. You can see the Sazabi is playing like an assassin here in the back line. Not able to hit his shots, though, unfortunately. And that means that a lot of his teammates are going to go down. And so now here comes the resupply, basically, from the squads as they're just going to go ahead and push in point B, unlocking now.
Yeah, this is, again, the Gym Sniper suit that we saw only picked on Harbor last time. You can get some really nice angles here, especially on B, but it's really hard to get 100% of your suit's worth. Ooh, that was a really nice shot, though. That's going to chunk the Exia for a solid amount. However, it's not going to go down, and that's one of the biggest issues of using Gym Sniper on this map is that you can't guarantee finish people off unless you're landing all your headshots. And look at this, you can't really push up that ramp either. I mean, you're a sniper.
Yeah, the nice thing about Gym Sniper is that if you have the follow-up of a Zaku 2 range, it works out extremely well, right? You just body someone, you do massive damage, and then the Zaku 2 range has an easier time trying to get that one clip. But you can see how quickly that TEKKA clan are ready to push up and try and punish that. Point B is going to go almost entirely the way of TEKKA clan. It doesn't look like they're going to give up a single percentage. Now we're going to swap on over to point A, but Sazabi, you can't get staggered here. You can see now TEKKA clan are going to take advantage of that tank being down.
Yeah, and this is actually really scary. We're moving over to point A, and we do have the Gundam Unicorn G maneuver available, and this is one of the best spots on this map for it. There are two really, really clear lanes, especially if you can hold a team kind of outside of their door. That G maneuver can chunk their entire team at once, and they're already getting into a really good position for this. Again, the Exia, just 15 player kill streak is so dominant on this map, so dominant on most maps, but especially this map, and it's such a key suit to have.
Yeah, they got the Hades ultimate going down there. The G maneuver has been utilized as they find Lacrum one more time. Staggering in is the Portland Burnsiders here. Now they ultimately get blessed, but again, he's already used his Hades. Don't really need him now as the Trans Am will get popped. 178 HP, and he does not have a worry in the world. No one's even shooting at him. He actually got a little bit of a heal throughout all of that, somehow taking no damage. And that's going to be TEKKA clan with a dominant 100-11 on our first round here.
Yeah, we're gonna see the Zaku 2 range try to make it in. Wow, didn't even make it onto the point, and that is the level of coordination that you've come to expect from these top teams, and that's why we just don't see those flanks like that. I mean, we see Exia as a flanker because Exia is just honestly so hard to lock down. If you have the right angles and you know where you can jump over with walls, with the E, with the command dash, then you are just not going to be easy to take out. But Zaku 2, you have to zoom around and you have to kind of put yourself in a vulnerable spot, even just for a few seconds, right? And normally, if you play like a ranked match, sure, yeah, a few seconds, nobody's going to take you out. But against teams like TEKKA, who has proven that they are a top team, a solidly top team for now every single event, you are just not going to have that level of freedom as a flanker like Zaku 2 ranged. And that was incredible. They actually took it out before it even got to the point. Tried to get that little bit like extra few seconds of time, but no overtime for you. So I want to see again if we are going to see a team comp switch. Of course, with TEKKA, we're seeing what we expect, and they're just going to stick with it.
Yeah, it's the old tried and true, and really nothing was going wrong with their composition. They were basically playing everything out perfectly. The few times that they ended up getting punished was when they went a little bit over aggressive, but even then they were able to bounce back and make up for that mistake, and ultimately only gave up, 11% in the last round. We're going to be starting off on point C once again. You can see this poke battle is just so huge. You have basically one less player to poke out with that Zaku 2 range on the other side. And so you know that TEKKA Clan should be winning out in this Azabi shield battles. We do have a fight below now, as it looks like they're going to be able to catch him out. The turn A gets one at the very least, and now going to go ahead and push forward for the point, but the Exia is there getting one down. They're going to be able to trade back. No, the res does not go through. They finish off that downed unit now. See turn A pushing forward. He's got his heels up as three members turn around and take him out. And it looks like despite getting that point, never mind, they don't even get the point for themselves. The point unlocks, and it is going to be TEKKA Clan once again with control over it.
Yeah, that's the problem with pushing down on that bottom side, is that everybody can just shoot you from above, and TEKKA, they waited to push until the very final moments. Very smart. I love this spot. This can be such a dangerous spot, especially if you're flanking like that. Always look up. Everybody watching this, if you're playing ranked, if you're playing in the tournament, always look up on that site. Even if you're on the top, you just always look above you, and you can see how well that can pay off. But again, TEKKA's just going to be holding this. Only 15 seconds left on this particular point, and it looks like they're probably going to hold it for the entire time. We're going to be moving next to B. They don't have super far to go to. I'd expect that we're probably going to see them move over pretty quick, but they're actually going to get almost a full team wipe in the meantime. I mean, that's one way to get to the position faster. Just take out the entire team. Whoa, okay, that was just flexing right there. That G maneuver, it was just flexing.
Well, it was flexing, but also it's Ashamar. He builds it up so quickly, right? He's kind of like in the same vein as the Zaku 2 range that like both of them are able to get their G maneuvers up extremely quickly, but ultimately it was a 2v1. It's a 2-for-1 exchange for them. And so they'll take that every day because, again, TEKKA Clan understands the importance of early positioning, but unfortunately end up losing out on one. The Exia swap off actually paying off just a little bit. Never mind. They still don't have the exits. I got him confused just there for a second. Trans Am coming out now for the TEKKA Clan as he gets into the back line, but he does not really get anything. But the Hades is there for Blessed to pick up two more.
Yeah, let's all be super thankful that we're getting a spectator mode soon. But okay, we are going to see again a pretty aggressive hold here from TEKKA. They push really far forward. They got the entire team kill. They've got so much time here on this point. They've got 71% to 0. They've got basically everything, positioning, the lead. Wow, that was a really nice shot. We got an 11-player kill streak. And again, you can just really see that Portland Burnsiders are getting a little bit too split up in these team fights. Their pushes are good, but you can tell that they just don't have that level of coordination of positioning of the death ball style that we see from TEKKA. I mean, they're not exactly a death ball, but on this map, you kind of got to do it regardless. And we do see, oh no, I'm sorry, that was the RX-78 just pulling out the shield. But this is just going to be such a tough spot. We're going to go to one last point here for C, potentially one last point, unless we can see something amazing from Portland Burnsiders.
Yeah, ooh, they do end up actually catching out one, but they've got the Screaming Nemiska along with that Ashmar punch to utilize here for this last fight. Quite possibly turn A dropping low, has to use that nanoskin to get himself topped off, but he's getting chased down. He will fall. Again, it's about finding these stragglers, finding these outside fights, and now they've got the Screaming Nimbus themselves to try and come back along with that Unicorn G maneuver. So very similar how this fight can break out, but most importantly, it's about just keeping people off the point for Team TEKKA Clan now, and they're pushing completely towards spawn. It's 99% extra time ticks down, and that will be Team TEKKA Clan taking to 2-0 in this series.
Yeah, a very, very dominant match. But, you know, it wasn't that Portland Burnsiders wasn't making the right push. I think they just need to lock down a few more things. We've seen this from a few different teams right here where it's like this is, I think, the first time that they maybe have entered, at least definitely they've entered one of these tournaments together, and they had a lot of really strong plays. But I think that they could work on their team comp a little bit. And again, this is a new game, right? We're only a few months into the life of Gundam Evolution, and you love to see that kind of stuff here, right? Where we've got players that are trying out in these tournaments, and they're going to learn a lot from what they are experiencing, and hopefully, you know, they can lock it down and maybe figure out who's going to play on what role and what suits they really want in each situation, and they're just going to keep on you know, going on from this a little bit stronger. But they're not out of it yet. Of course, this is a double elimination tournament. TEKKA, though, moving forward, and they are, I think, what I would say for sure one of our strongest teams for today. They had really close matches all last month, but we didn't get to see them quite as much on broadcast. I think we're going to see a lot more of them this week.
Yeah, and importantly for Portland Blazers, this is a double elimination. They're just sent down to the lower bracket. They'll have another opportunity, so maybe we'll see them a little bit later on today when we go back down there and check out those games. But there is definitely a lot to be learned, and we can see why the strength of the XE and basically overall this same composition that we saw during Halloween Havoc is still remaining to be true here. It's just such a good overall composition, right? You have the consistent damage that comes out from the Pale Rider, and then you have the burst and flanking potential coming out from the XE, along with the staying power of having the Dom, the 1200 HP from him, along with the Sazabi and that armor gun. So this is just a really good overall composition. So I'm definitely not surprised that it's sticking around, but I'm definitely surprised that we didn't at least see maybe that Zaku 2 melee coming out from the Portland Burnsiders. It is a nice Hail Mary. We know how strong that the large Heat Hawk Axe ultimate or G maneuver is, that it can just win a team fight by itself, that you don't even need a team behind you. You just 1v6 with it.
Yeah, it's true, especially on some points. But, that was, of course, only the first match of the day. So I want to say we have a pretty good chance of seeing at least that a little bit later on. But while we do get our next matches of the day set up, I want to say congratulations, of course, to our first winner, TEKKA. But we're going to be taking a short break to get everything going. So don't go anywhere, because we're going to return with more Gundam's Grace right after this.